With the third SpongeBob movie almost out, I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about the first out of the 3 SpongeBob movies that are out there. Without a doubt, this is my favorite / the best out of the 2 that I've seen. I would say it's the best out of the 3, but who knows, maybe Sponge on the Run might be a good, or better movie. I doubt it though. Now I know what you're thinking, but look, I'm not wearing any nostalgia goggles or think that because it's the first movie it's automatically better. No, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is a really good movie. As the kids would say, all facts, no printer. So what makes it good? Before I dig my tiny stubby hands into this one, let me give you some background on both my relationship with the movie and how this movie came to be. This movie came out in 2004, so I was around 5 at the time, and I remember the hype behind this movie. They gave it the whole 9 yards with the toys at Burger King.
In celebration of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Collect all 12! There's one in every kid's meal!
Italian video game, books probably, toys, soundtracks. And the best part about it, that it was going to be shown in theaters.
See Paramount Pictures SpongeBob SquarePants the movie at your favorite Cinemark theater.
That was fucking crazy because the only kids TV shows that had any specials or movies would only be shown in cable. Not a lot of TV shows can say that they've had a theatrical release. Everybody was hyped for this, and to no surprise, it did well and won some awards. While the idea to make a SpongeBob movie now seems like a no-brainer, the creator, Steven Hillenburg, was actually asked to make the movie 2 years before they actually made it. To him, he saw cinema as much more of a different thing than television, which is true-ish. He also didn't think that the SpongeBob vibes would work as a movie because he only saw it as an 11-minute show. It wasn't until he got a solid idea and started to work with it. Okay, so why do I think it's good? Well, not only is there a lot of background behind the film, but the film itself is well executed, funny, charming, super accessible in the sense that anybody can watch it and be entertained by it, entertaining and meaningful. There's a clear setup. Plankton makes a plan to successfully steal the Krabby Patty formula, and SpongeBob needs to save the day. While it is simple, the writers do a good job at recognizing cliches, tropes, and play with them.
Don't worry, Mr. Krabs. Patrick, Squidward, and I...
Pass.
Patrick and I
Hi.
are gonna get that crown back and save you from Neptune's wrath. Your life is in our hands.
To add on, the whole story is inspired by pirate films and mystical films like The Lord of the Rings, where it's a type of hero's journey, which works in the film because SpongeBob is related to the sea and those stories and the pirate stories and all that stuff. Plus, if you're going to make a SpongeBob movie, then you better make him go on a grand adventure. I think what elevates the story more is the fact that in the show, there was a constant running gag where Plankton wanted to steal the Krabby Patty formula. Then in this movie, you actually see what would happen if he got his way, which to a kid and any fan of the show is pretty cool. Not only that, but they raise the stakes and actually have consequences. They don't say shit like Plankton will destroy us. Nah, they go full on and say shit like killed or dead or, of course no one dies, but it's something that, technically can happen. I also think that the pace is amazing. There is such a build up to the final act and it's executed nicely. There's so many moments where the writers could half-ass things, like ending the movie with SpongeBob and Patrick giving the crown to King Neptune and then having Plankton thrown in jail. But no, these motherfuckers go full on and gave us one of the best parodies ever. I remember as a kid I would get goosebumps whenever that scene came on. I watched it recently and I can't say the same, but it's still pretty epic when he goes up in the air and saves everyone. I also think it uses its time wisely. There's no scene that ever feels filler ever. All the scenes have an impact to the story in some way, shape, or form, such as giving new information or showing how far Dennis is to Patrick and SpongeBob. I also think that it's very, very funny and can get at least one laugh out of you.
Bob, what are you doing in here?
I have to tell you something, Squidward.
Whatever it is, can't it wait until we get to work?
There's no shower at work.
What do you want?
The story isn't just funny and entertaining, but it also has a good theme of what it means to be a kid and mature. Steven Hillenburg has stated that SpongeBob is an adult but has a kid side to him. He also said something along the lines of the movie being about never losing that kid side of you. I think that message is shown in the film very well. That even though you make bubbles or worship a giant peanut, you can still accomplish a lot. And by the end of the film, a literal goofy goober saves the day. I know that it's a pretty basic underdog story, but it's still executed in a creative and fun way. If you didn't know, Steven Hillenburg actually wanted this to be the SpongeBob finale, but Nickelodeon wanted more of that booty. Steven Hillenburg left the show afterwards, and it really sucks because they treated like this movie never existed. It's not canon anymore. So as a kid, that really sucked. And then the show kind of fell in the same trap as The Simpsons, where every episode was just like a what if or some cliche. Plus, the characters also became one-dimensional, which reminds me, the characters in the film are actual characters, and the number of main characters is very limited. That being that there's only one main character, SpongeBob. The whole movie is about him, and it's focused on him and actually developing his character. All the side characters are also created and act like actual characters too, especially Patrick. They give him a character, and while he is quote-unquote dumb, he never goes full retard. What I mean is that recently they've made Patrick's character like the stupid one and nothing more. In this one, while being dumb is part of his character, a bigger part of his character is being SpongeBob's best friend, and he acts like it. He's with SpongeBob through thick and thin, and even almost dies for him. Now I do want to talk about the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, which I kind of hate. I mean, I'll talk about the film in a bit, but I do want to say that the marketing for this one is some bullshit. I didn't even see this one in theaters, and I felt like I was being ripped off. The marketing made it seem like 30 minutes of it was animated and the rest of it was live action. In reality, only like the third act, because there's no real acts or rhyme or reason to this one, but honestly, it's only like 30 minutes in live action.
So as I was recording this, I noticed that like this, there's this playlist on YouTube that basically shows the whole SpongeBob movie, like the second one, and in total 15 clips, but one of them is the trailer, so let's say that there's 14 clips. So 14 divided by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 7. That means 7 of these clips are half of the movie and the 7 is the rest. So if you see here, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's like barely like right there in like the middle. They don't get to like the surface until like this part I think. Let me just double check before
I've done all I can.
yeah, see, like that's exactly like when they almost on cue. That's kind of weird. Basically what this shows is that like not even half of the movie is like them being on the surface. It's honestly just, what is it, 6 minutes, 28 minutes, yeah, not even 30 minutes.
As to the actual movie, I kinda like it at times, but only for like some jokes.
Okay, mine's moving.
Mine too.
Should we call Bubbles?
Let's give him a minute. He's been holding it for 10,000 years. I'm pretty sure that wasn't supposed to happen.
And some of the character development with Plankton and SpongeBob. I think that team up is interesting and a big part of why I like the movie. But then you have filler like Plankton going into SpongeBob's head, or just convoluted plot lines with the book that changes reality that doesn't make any sense. Which, I mean, to credit SpongeBob, not everything makes sense, but they don't follow their own rules. They have like, it's just really it's like convenient to the plot. There's nothing like interesting that happens with the actual book. It never has a direction. It doesn't have like an end goal. The end goal is just to fucking have you pay a movie ticket, and you know, they just have shit on the screen. There's no real, that's what I mean, there's no real rhyme with this one. Also, after the whole squad goes into the real world, they throw the whole Plankton and SpongeBob team up aside until like the very end when it's convenient. It seems to me that they wanted this to be like a SpongeBob gang adventure where like all of them go to the surface and break some shit, but in reality most of the movie is Plankton and SpongeBob learning to work together because everybody hates them. Then suddenly the whole gang's back together, and it's just a parody of like superhero movies because that's what makes money these days, I guess. And by the end of it, Plankton stays the same and no one learns anything. By the end of the movie, everything goes back to normal and nothing from the movie has affected the SpongeBob lore, and it seems like useless at the end of the day. It's just like, oh well, you know, what the fuck was that for? Nothing happened. That was a very long way for me to say that I think the first one is better than the second one, and so I guess now it's time for the third, you know, if we don't die by the end of it.